Last month, I celebrated my 28th birthday. Finally, my 30s are starting to come into view. I'm officially in the late 20s category. Since I've just turned 28, I want to take a moment to reflect on the past year and talk about where I want to go from here, so I'm recording this video right now. Specifically, I'm going to talk about 3 things. First, what my 27th year was like. Second, what kind of year I want my 28th to be, or rather, what kind of year I will make it. And third, I'll talk about what my ideal future looks like at this moment. So let's start with the first point, what my 27th year was like. This past year, I found myself feeling more grateful than ever before so many things. My work environment, the era we're living in, my friends, my health, and being 28, still young and full of possibilities. Now, let me go into a bit more detail about the things I'm grateful for. First and foremost, it's my work environment. I'm grateful to the 4 companies that have entrusted me with work through outsourcing contracts for acupuncture treatments and to all the patients who trust me with their care. Without the current Japanese medical insurance system, I wouldn't have the stability, happiness, or the daily opportunities to chase my goals that my current income provides. I truly believe that who I am today is largely thanks to the laws and systems in Japan. And it's something I must never forget. No matter how much taxes may increase in the future, I've benefited so much from Japan that I have to accept it. I'm also deeply grateful to be in this profession. If I'd chosen a different career, I definitely wouldn't have the same sense of happiness or the life I have now. I'm thankful for the chance events that led me here, such as getting injured playing baseball as a student and receiving treatment at an acupuncture clinic, which ultimately influenced my decision to pursue this career. Next, let's talk about the era we're living in. Because of my job, I often have the chance to talk with elderly people in their 80s and 90s who lived through the war. When I hear their stories, it really drives home how peaceful, safe, and convenient the world we live in now is. In addition, in recent years, there's been a growing diversity of perspectives on many things, and I feel like the world is becoming a place where it's easier to live even mentally. And now, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge all the conveniences of modern civilization that support my daily life. Here's a list of them. My home, which shields me from the elements, iPhone, MacBook, air conditioner, washing machine, microwave, cordless vacuum, air purifier, fridge, cup, bicycle, dehumidifier, handy gadgets, the 3 handmade bento shops I frequent, skier, Nakao, Osho, public bathhouses, affordable protein supplement with good quality, Cat's Dank, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, ChatGPT, Audible, books, music, interior design, convenience stores, supermarkets, Starbucks, McDonald's, IKEA, Nitori, online shopping, comedy shows, and more. There are already so many things that come to mind right now, and I'm sure there are even more. I bet 19-year-olds didn't have 99% of the things when they were my age. Human history spans 200,000 to 300,000 years, so in that context, 50 to 100 years is just a blink of an eye. We could have easily been born in the same era as today's 19-year-olds. We might have even been born as something other than humans. Out of all those possibilities, I believe we need to recognize how fortunate we are to be born in this era with healthy bodies. When you think about it this way, living in the present day is nothing short of a miracle. Being born in this time might be realer than winning a 300 million or even 1.2 billion yen lottery, perhaps even more improbable. When you think about all of this, the daily worries we have seem as small as the pebbles scattered along the road. And the next thing I'm grateful for is my friends, who are also one of the things in life I'm most thankful for. Because they are friends who care about my life, who lend a hand when I need it, and who inspire me, teach me, and help me grow. Even though we live in such a fortunate time, I know for certain that I wouldn't be who I am today without the friends I have around me. Even if I had been born in a much more difficult era, as long as I had friends, I believe I could still lead a happy life. And even as times get more and more convenient, I still think it would be hard to live happily without friends. Next, and of course, it goes without saying, is health. This past year might have been the one where I realized the importance of health the most. In the first 3 months of being 27, I caught a cold twice. I also threw my back out from working too much and not taking care of my body enough. To be clear, 28 is still young, and I think I'm generally healthy enough to push myself a bit. But I've noticed that I don't have the stamina I did in my early 20s. I've read a few books about life in your 30s, and many of them mention that your physical decline becomes more noticeable after you turn 30. That's why, even though it's a bit early, I started focusing on building healthy habits midway through my 28th year. This year, I especially want to focus on that. The big three are diet, exercise, and sleep. When I'm eating alone, I want to make sure I'm eating as healthily as possible. For example, I'll try to avoid additives, opt for food that hasn't been cooked at high temperatures, and generally choose things that are good for me. So I try to avoid eating fried foods and tempura as much as possible. When I'm eating out with friends, though, I'll let myself eat whatever I want. As for exercise, I'm focusing on both working out and strengthening my core. By building muscle, I can boost my metabolism, and strengthening my core will help prevent back pain. And when it comes to sleep, I'm aiming for 7 to 8 hours a night. After all, when I don't get enough sleep, I find it hard to recover from fatigue and my focus drops, which negatively affects both my work and my English studies. Lastly, there's the preciousness of the present time. I'm especially aware of the value of being in my 20s while I'm still young. Every year, I feel like time is passing faster and faster. I've heard this a lot from older people, and I'm really starting to feel it myself. Reading books about life in your 30s, I've noticed that many say the time you have for yourself becomes more limited in your 30s. This is because it's an age where various responsibilities tend to increase. For example, your position at work might change, or you might start a family. And as I mentioned earlier, you'll need to invest even more time in your health. With that in mind, I realized that your 20s are still a time when you can take on challenges and recover from failures relatively easily. It's also a time when making big changes in life feels more achievable. Of course, I believe you can change your life at any age though. What kind of year do I want my 28th year to be? I'm going to make it the best year yet, but what does best really mean? I want to be a year that no matter when I look back, I can confidently say because of the amazing year when I was 28, I am where I am today. So what does that actually look like? By the end of my 28th year, I want to have the English skills to work on luxury cruise ship whenever I want. I also want to have built up a record of successfully treating from patients in Japan, all while using English. Specifically, I aim to help at least 10 people with frozen shoulder and 10 people with lower back pain. That said, I still have about 2.5 million yen in debt. So even if I get the chance to work on a cruise ship, I won't be able to go unless I've saved enough to pay off what I owe. Ideally, I'd like to work on a luxury cruise ship while I'm 28, but I want to make sure that when the opportunity comes, I have strong enough English skills to pass the interview. I also want to save enough money to cover my debts while I'm away on the ship. Additionally, I'd like to gain experience treating from patients so that I can be ready to contribute right away once I'm on board. I have dreams and goals that make my daily life exciting and fulfilling. But I also understand that this fulfillment comes from the lack of my circumstances and the support of the people around me. It's not just my own efforts that have made these incredible days possible. I'll never forget that. I'll keep believing in myself, staying true to who I am, and enjoying things that both help others and excite me at the same time. I'll approach my 28th year with gratitude, humility, and mindset that everything is thanks to the people around me. About 2 months ago, something came to mind that made me think, if I can accomplish this, I'll have no regrets. I'll truly feel like I've made my mark on the world. It's related to the share house I plan to start after I've worked on a cruise ship. I want this share house to be a place where people who dream of achieving their goals using English can gather. It will be for people who are like me when I first started learning English. If I'm going to run a service, I want it to be something that adds value, something only I can offer. When I thought about who I want to help, I realized I want to create a service that would have been helpful to my past self. I want to create a service that would have made me think, I wish this place had existed. Because even now, I still want that kind of environment. From this share house, I want to help people live, master English, and achieve their dreams using their English. My goal is to help 1 million people do this by the time I turn 19. Why 1 million? Japan's population is just over 100 million. Even if it decreases, it will likely average around 100 million during my lifetime. If I can help 1% of the population, I'll be able to look back at the end of my life and feel proud of myself. Many people and companies set their goals based on revenue or going public. But I experienced many services that were clearly profitable but didn't provide real value to their customers. I've encountered several services that didn't live up to their price, yet they thrived due to clever marketing. That's why I believe that instead of focusing on revenue, the true goal should be the number of people who achieve their goals through the service I provide. And more than anything, I love people who are living their lives wholeheartedly, chasing their dreams and goals. I truly feel a sense of fulfillment spending my days sharing dreams with people like that. That's why I want to do this. I'm thinking of making the stay in the share house a maximum of 3 years, with the idea that residents graduate after those 3 years. Even if they don't achieve their dreams within that time, if they reach them after they've graduated, I'll still feel like I've contributed to their lives.